friends, my name is Shayla, and today I am here to introduce a new series on my channel to you. So this series is going to be called the ReRead Roundup. So I know this isn't the video most of you were expecting. You guys were expecting my digital haul, but I've decided I'm just going to do a full Kindle tour in February, so you guys will get all of the things that I'm owning in that video. So I will just leave that to then and move on to the other content that I want to give you guys. So in this video and in this series, what I'm going to be doing, because one of my goals in 2020 is to reread at least one book from my collection and one manga series from my collection each month, I'm going to be doing a dedicated video in which I talk about those rereads to see if they hold up to a second read, if I liked them better, if I liked them worse, if they're going to stay in my collection. All those kinds of things will be discussed in these videos. So this is obviously episode number 1. So let's talk about the things that I reread in January. So the first thing that I reread in January was Roseblood by A.G. Howard. This is a Phantom of the Opera inspired story in which we follow a young woman named Rune, who, as she sings, and she has a beautiful and lovely voice, she is physically drained of energy, and she basically ends up passing out after singing. And so this leads down a story that's directly connected to the opera house in which Phantom of the Opera takes place. Now, in this story, we are dealing more with a continuation of the original Phantom of the Opera work by Gaston Leroux, rather than the Andrew Lloyd Webber inspired musical. And I think that's why when this initially came out, not as many people ended up enjoying it, because they were expecting the lighter, fluffier musical. And if you've read the original Phantom of the Opera text, it is actually very dark, very gritty, and you deal with a lot of really deep and twisty stuff. And this definitely pulls from its original more than the musical that most people are familiar with. So I personally loved this on a second read. I also know that a lot of people didn't get along with the fact that it is red text within the novel. So if that bothers you, I would just go to an e-copy, because the e-copies will all be in black ink. And I don't know if the newer printings or the paperbacks are just in black. I believe this was a first edition that I own. So maybe only the first editions have the red text. I'm not 100% sure. But all I know is on a second read, I absolutely still loved and adored this. Now, I do have a dedicated video to this initially, and I will leave that linked for you so you can get more of my full in-depth thoughts from that read, because a lot of them are very much the same. So rather than duplicating content on my channel, I will just link that so you guys can go and watch that. I believe it's a 5 reasons to read kind of style video. So definitely check out this book if Phantom of the Opera continuation, or if you like things inspired by other stories or retellings, I think you would really get along with this. And also if you like A.G. Howard's writing, A.G. Howard's written a few other things that I've enjoyed as well. So if you like their writing, I think you'll really enjoy this book for sure. Next on this list is Everyone's Getting Married. This is the manga series that I ended up rereading this month. And in this, we're following Ryu and Asuka. They are two people who think very differently about marriage and commitment. Asuka is 24 at the start of this series, and her goal in life is to get married and become a homemaker and to create a warm and happy home for her husband and her children to come home to every day. And she comes across a man named Ryu at a wedding who has no intention to ever get married. He thinks that marriage is a trap and people are unhappy if they are married. So in this series, we see these two actually enter a romantic relationship and work through their problems as the series goes on. There is a point where they do break up because of these differences, and it is really interesting. I did enjoy this series on a second read. It's not perfect. It has its problems. There's a lot of things that they don't really talk through properly in the series that I wish they would have spent a little time doing, but it's very smexy. There's a lot of getting down to the nitty-gritty in this particular series. And I love the series for that. It's beautifully drawn. I will definitely pick up more titles by Izumi Miyazono in future. because I did enjoy this. Now, I did see its flaws a little more easily on a second read. I wasn't blinded by the newness and the prettiness of this. But I still think this does a great job of taking two people who think very differently about something in life and seeing how they act in a romantic relationship together. And they did use the drastic comparison of marriage in this particular series, but they could have done it with a myriad of other things, but it was just easiest to show with that. Because in marriage, everything is not perfect. You're not going to align on everything you think and believe. So if you don't match up on the big things, sometimes it doesn't always work. In this one, it feels very much like a smutty romance novel. So if you are a smutty romance novel fan, you will definitely enjoy Everyone's Getting Married. But all in all, especially in the final volume, how the story wraps up, there are some things about it that are a bit troublesome and a bit tiring, I guess you could say. I still enjoy the series as a whole, and it will remain in my collection. Mainly because I really enjoy the back and forth and the things that they have to face within their relationship. There is someone who is very interested in Asuka, who is also ready to settle down, ready to get married, and keeps trying to convince Asuka to have feelings for him. And obviously, she isn't capable. She is very much in love with Ryu, and it causes problems through a good chunk of the series. Most people, as they read it, just want to hurt him. They just want to deck him, and I'm kind of with them on that. But as a whole, I really did enjoy this series. And it, like I say, if you are a romance lover, this is definitely going to read a lot like a romance novel or a rom-com even, because there are some pretty funny moments in here, but it talks about things like careers and focusing on careers, living together over being married, and some things like that I think are really important discussions that Miyazono did a really good job having. But, you know, it has its problems, and they don't talk through their problems. They just have sex to solve them. And so I wish we would have seen a little more dialogue in that aspect. You know, I would have taken an extra volume or two to give us dialogue through those discussions that they were having and then let them get it on. I would have been totally okay with that. And I felt like the ending was a bit rushed. I could have done with a little more time with that as well. So that is my thoughts on Everyone's Getting Married. So all in all, my rereads in January led to two things that I know for sure I want to keep in my collection. Let me know in the comments down below something that you would be interested in rereading to see if you enjoyed it as much a second time. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.